Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll. For decades, fans have debated which of his songs is the best, which performance was his most iconic, and which movie was his finest. But what happens when you set all that aside? When you ignore personal favorites and fan polls and just look at the data? Depending on which Billboard chart you look at, Elvis scored a phenomenal number of number one hits in the US alone, an astonishing record. We've crunched the numbers, analyzing weeks at number one to bring you the definite top 10, ranked purely by their incredible chart performance. The song that held the top spot the longest might not be the one you're thinking of, so let's count down the King's biggest anthems based on the one thing that never lies: the charts. Kicking off our list at number 10 is the swinging 1960 rocker Stuck on You. This was a massively anticipated single, as it was Elvis's first new recording after his 2-year service in the US Army. RCA Records was so confident it prepared over 1 million picture sleeves before the song was even recorded, announcing Elvis's first new recording for his 50 million fans all over the world. Recorded in Nashville March 1960, the song was rushed to stores just days later. The public was more than ready. Stuck on You shot the top of the Billboard Hot 100, where it stayed for 4 weeks, proving that the King's absence had only made his fans' hearts grow fonder. It was a triumphant return that kicked off a new decade of hits. At number 9 is the smoldering 1958 ballad Don't. The song was penned by the legendary rock and roll songwriters Jerry Lieber and Mike Stoller, the same duo behind hits like Hound Dog and Jailhouse Rock. This time, however, they crafted a throbbing, sincere ballad specifically at Elvis's request. Released in January 1958, Don't showcased a more tender and vulnerable side of the King. The public loved the change of pace. The single became Presley's 11th number one hit in the United States, topping the Billboard Hot 100 for a week. It ultimately spent 5 weeks in the top spot of Billboard's multi-metric charts, proving that even a softer Elvis could dominate the competition. Coming in at number 8 is the timeless ballad that introduced the world to Elvis the movie star, Love Me Tender, the title song for his first film in 1956. This gentle melody was a huge change for the rock anthems that made him famous. The tune itself is based on the Civil War era folk song called Aura Lee, with new lyrics written for the movie. The song's success was off the charts before the movie or the single were even released. Advance orders for the record topped 1 million, a first in music history. When it finally hit stores, it flew to the number one spot on the Billboard charts, where it reigned for 5 weeks. It was a clear signal that Elvis was more than just a rock and roll fad. He was a versatile entertainer with massive commercial power who was about to conquer Hollywood. Our number 7 entry is a song that showed off a completely new side of Elvis and became his best-selling single of all time. Operatic masterpiece It's Now or Never, released in 1960 after his return from the army. This song was a bold artistic move. While stationed in Germany, Elvis heard the Tony Martin song There's No Tomorrow, based on the famous Italian aria O Sole Mio. He loved the melody and put his music publisher on a mission to get new English lyrics written for it. The result was a stunning pop opera ballad that demonstrated his incredible vocal range. Critics were floored by the stylistic shift. The public adored it. It's Now or Never soared the number one on the Billboard Hot 100 and stayed there for 5 weeks, becoming his biggest international seller. Elvis himself was proud of the challenging vocal performance. proving he wasn't just the king of rock and roll, he was one of the greatest vocalists of his generation. At number 6 we find one of Elvis's most iconic and dramatic ballads, Are You Lonesome Tonight? Though forever linked to Elvis, the song was actually written back in 1926 by Roy Turk and Lou Handman. Recorded late at night in Nashville, Elvis reportedly asked for the studio lights to be turned down to capture the song's intimate, lonely mood. The track famously features a spoken word bridge adapted from Shakespeare. Released in November 1960, the song was an immediate smash, reaching number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and stayed there for an impressive 6 weeks. Crashing in at number 5 is the blistering anthem that became a cultural phenomenon. Jailhouse Rock, released in September 1957, this track was the centerpiece of Elvis's third movie of the same name. The song was an instant smash, but its creation story is legendary. The songwriters Jerry Lieber and Mike Stoller were practically held captive in their hotel room by the publisher until they finished the song for the movie. The result was pure magic. Jailhouse Rock wasn't just a song, it was an event. It blasted up the Billboard charts, claiming the number 1 spot on the bestsellers in stores chart for 7 weeks. It also hit number 1 on the country and R&B charts, proving Elvis's universal appeal. At number 4 we find a softer, more cuddle side of the king, Teddy Bear. Released in the summer of 1957 for his film Loving You, the song was a runaway success. The story behind it is a classic rock and roll anecdote. A rumor, totally false, had started that Elvis loved collecting teddy bears. Fans took this to heart and began mailing him thousands of stuffed animals. Songwriters Cal Mann and Bernie Lowe cleverly capitalized on the craze and wrote the perfect tune. Elvis, who had no special fondness for teddy bears, reportedly donated thousands he received to charity. The song, however, he kept. It was a smash hit, topping the Billboard pop charts for 7 straight weeks. It also crossed over to top the R&B and country charts, showing a sweeter side of his persona that made him an unstoppable force in pop culture. Breaking into our top 3 is the song that started it all for Elvis at RCA, the moody, atmospheric classic Heartbreak Hotel. Released in January 1956, it was his first single with the new label and a dramatic shift from his Sun Records sound. The inspiration is the stuff of legend, reportedly coming from a newspaper article about a lonely man's suicide, who left a note that read, "I walk a lonely street." Songwriter Mayborn Axton imagined a heartbreak hotel at the end of that lonely street. RCA executives were reportedly nervous about the song's dark, gloomy tone, with one producer calling it a morbid mess, but Elvis's instincts were spot on. Heartbreak Hotel became his first ever number 1 hit on the Billboard Top 100, staying at the top for a powerful 8 weeks and becoming the biggest selling single of 1956. Our runner-up at number 2 is a rock and roll classic that captures the frantic energy of new love, All Shook Up. This 1957 smash has a charming, if debated, origin story. Legend has it that songwriter Otis Blackwell got the idea after a friend shook a bottle of Pepsi and told him it had him all shook up. Whatever its origin, the song was a perfect fit for Elvis. All Shook Up went straight to the number 1 of the Billboard Top 100 and refused to leave, spending an incredible 9 weeks in the top spot. Even more impressively, the single spent a total of 30 weeks on the chart, the longest run of any Elvis single. It was an absolute monster hit that defined the sound of 1957 and became one of its most enduring songs. So before we get to the number 1 spot, the Elvis single that had the longest, most dominant run at the top, we want to hear from you. Which song is your personal number 1? Let us know in the comments below. And if you're enjoying this trip through the King's Chart history, don't forget to like and subscribe for more dives into music history. Okay, on to the number 1. And here it is, the number 1 greatest Elvis Presley hit, based purely on his staggering chart performance. It's the double-sided monster Don't Be Cruel and Hound Dog. Released in 1956, this single created the most successful double-sided hit in rock and roll history. While Hound Dog was a raw, snarling anthem that caused a national scandal, Don't Be Cruel was a smoother R&B flavored tune from the great Otis Blackwell. While both sides were massive, it was the combined power of the single that made history. Together, Don't Be Cruel and Hound Dog held the number 1 position on the Billboard charts for an unbelievable 11 weeks. This record for the longest run at number 1 stood for 36 years. For its utter dominance and record-shattering run, the Don't Be Cruel Hound Dog single is, by the numbers, the undisputed king of the King's hits. And there you have it, 10 songs that didn't just top the charts, they owned them. From the swinging return of Stuck on You to the record-breaking reign of Don't Be Cruel and Hound Dog, let's recap the list one more time. At number 10, Stuck on You. Number 9, Don't. Number 8, Love Me Tender. Number 7, It's Now or Never. Number 6, Are You Lonesome Tonight? Number 5, Jailhouse Rock. Number 4, Teddy Bear. Number 3, Heartbreak Hotel. Number 2, All Shook Up. And the number 1, Elvis Presley hit based on chart performance, Don't Be Cruel, Hound Dog. These 10 singles not only defined a career, but changed the course of popular music forever. They are a testament to the talent, charisma, and enduring legacy of the one and only King of Rock and Roll. Thanks for watching.